Assetto Corsa came into the console frame riding on a wave of reasonably obtained hype. The game had been doing well and had seen massive growth over the span of 2 years on the PC side as many sim racers sang its praises and named it to be their new sim of choice. So why did it fall flat when it came to console? Hello everybody, Toby here from Gaming Now, and today I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on what's quite an interesting subject, especially in the sim racing world. And why I think Assetto Corsa on the console fell flat, what the reasons are, and how it was such a missed opportunity. In my opinion, it was a missed opportunity, but it wasn't necessarily the developers' faults. So allow me to go into things a bit further and just give you guys my opinions, my honest opinions, and thoughts about the game, how it's, and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. So, for a start, the reason Assetto Corsa became so popular on PC was because it was a strong foundation. The game itself was a strong foundation, and it was extremely mod-friendly. And as anybody knows, that a mod-friendly game is a path to endless opportunity. So when it came to console, mods they were just simply not possible. And you might think to yourself, well, why not? Fallout, Skyrim Remastered did it. And the answer to your question is quite simply licensing. Somehow, something we could somehow get away with on the PC, dodging the licenses of the tracks and cars that we mod in, but on console it's just simply not the case. It'd be, PlayStation and Microsoft, they wouldn't allow it to happen. You've seen how PlayStation's stance is on Fallout and Skyrim mods. They don't even allow external assets, so nowhere would they allow you to mod in something licensed. It's just a lawsuit, waiting to happen. So the reason is simply licensing. It's just simply impossible to get those kind of mods on the PS4. And so we only got the base game, and in a similar situation to R Factor on the PC, that the base game, it doesn't offer enough content. Plain and simple. The base content of Assetto Corsa, like R Factor, it's just not enough to provide any longevity to the game. It'll do you well for about a week, and then you're like, this is on to the next one. So without that longevity, it was, the base content kind of held it back. And the cars on offer in the base game, they weren't overly exciting, and the most prestigious series we had was GT3, and before the Red Pack, where we got the F1 cars, obviously. And speaking of DLC, that was another thing. To actually get any longevity from the game, you'd need to buy DLC, and which we all know how much that can divide your customers from the get-go. We've seen that with Battlefield 1 recently. Don't even get me started on the Season Pass not covering all of its DLC. That's one of my pet peeves in a game, when there's a Season Pass states it's going to cover all future content, and then it doesn't. So then after mods, there's more problems lying underneath the carpet, if you like. The game was severely neglected compared to its PC counterpart, meaning that console users, and I can say this from experience, console users came to expect receiving updates 6 months after the PC got them, which is obviously very, very frustrating, especially when you see the guys playing it on PC and you're like, I really want to have a go at that, and then you've got to wait 6 months. It was just sort of really neglected compared to the PC. And at the end of these 6 months, when we finally got the update, we'd moved, console players have moved on or moved back to more alive games, and this is something that we could point out with the is it the Born to Race pack that's just come out this week or last week? Like, it's been so long since the PC got this at the start of this year, and we're only just getting it now, so that's about 7-8 months it's taken to finally get this DLC pack, and a lot of people have moved on. I've uninstalled the game. I've moved on. I've moved back to Project Cars. I'm currently looking at F1 2017. Project Cars 2 comes out in 5 days. So, by the time it comes out, we've moved on. It's too long, and people would just move on, or they move back to games that were getting frequently updated, and therefore what the term is, alive. So. Not to mention that to this day as well, the tyre and physics models are still behind the PC version. Well, I don't know how many versions it is, but I think it's like 2 or 3 versions we have behind the PC. So you will hop on the PC, do a few laps, and it will feel amazing. You'll be like, wow, this is awesome. And then you go on it on the console, and you know, you try push like you did on the PC, and you're gone in the wall, and it's just endless frustration. To see how well, it's only 2 versions, but it's like all the time it's 2 significant versions, and the fact we're still behind, almost at the end of the console game's longevity cycle, is pretty disappointing, to say the least. So, and the thing was, the physics, they felt inconsistent, and that's me putting it nicely. You know what I mean? Like, it felt as if the game punished you on the console side. It like on the so let's go and look at the PC side. You could just drive flat out, and it would be awesome. It'd be absolutely wicked to drive, and it's very satisfying. I can say from experience because I have both. And but then you go on the console version, and it felt as if the game punished you for pushing. And I found myself, and you'll find yourself, driving like you're genuinely scared of losing the deposit on the car. It's like you've gone to a track day and they said, right, you're paying for any damages you cause. And you know what I mean? You go on a track day and you're like, oh, I want to go fast, but I don't because I don't have the money for the repair bill. And you shouldn't feel that in a game. It's a game for a reason, you know what I mean? And it's just very frustrating that the physics kind of restrict you and punish you for pushing the car. But we can't blame, let's be fair, now we can't blame any of this on Kunos, and the reason is, Kunos consists of 30 people. 30 people, 30, and that's the entire studio for PC, Xbox and PlayStation. And we do know the developers' stance of the free systems, and we know that PC is the overwhelming favourite for those guys. They're all PC bred. They all prefer the PC, you know. So it makes sense why the PC version is so far ahead, because obviously it makes sense logically, because that's where the game's programmed and it's easier to put over, and it doesn't have to go through a cycle like on PlayStation, Xbox. It has to go through like a testing cycle to make sure the update works before PlayStation and Microsoft will release. That's another thing, Xbox getting even further delays compared to the PS4 version. So it makes sense, and as well as emotionally, if they prefer the PC, you know, they're going to be putting their time and a lot more testing and bug testing and just them trying the game out. It's going to happen on the PC. So they're going to find problems with a PC, but not necessarily find the bugs and stuff that need fixing on the console, because they're not playing it. And they rely on players to report these things back to them, and they don't. Because people just go, oh, you know, screw this, I'm not, and they just don't bother. And so the community kind of let them down there. But when we look at, and then after that, we look at what they've called a career mode in the console version. And now that's interesting, because it was a feature brought into play by Kunos on the console, and it's not really apparent on PC. There's not really a career mode on PC. And you feel as if it was kind of an attempt by Kunos to fill the void that not having mods would leave on the game. But again, it felt like it was thrown together at the last minute. The career is a series of repetitive challenges in different cars. Now, it's kind of like those license tests on Gran Turismo from when you was a kid, you know, when you played the game as a kid. Don't get me wrong, they were fun, but by no means is it fun enough to have it as the whole career. You know what I mean? They were fun to do at times. They unlocked you more things than you could go on. Now, they were fun, but no way are they good enough for a whole career at all. That doesn't mean Gran Turismo's off the hook either, because that's effectively what they've done with GT Sport, but that's for another video another day. So in this wave of hype as well, that Assetto Corsa was riding on its way over to consoles, was the idea of another game to host league racing on. Many league racers could only get their fix on console from Forza Motorsport or Project Cars. Those were the only real thing guys had available, and obviously PlayStation didn't have the luxury of having Project Cars either. They were kind of restricted, and so it was a great proposition, a great perspective to have something to create like a holy trinity of sim racing games on the PS4 and Xbox One, but again, it wasn't to be. In fact, private lobbies didn't come until, yep, you guessed it, 6 months later, nearing the end of the game's short longevity cycle. But wait, relax, there was public lobbies in the meantime, and that you could use them to get your online fix. But oh wait, they were riddled with bugs, in which some cases didn't even let you leave the qualifying session, meaning you never actually got to the grid to have that race in the first place. And when the private lobbies did come, they offered hardly any customizable options, half the time they didn't work, and the bugs from the public lobbies followed into the private lobbies. So don't get me wrong, the private lobbies added some longevity, but the game was beyond saving at this point in my opinion. And in fact most console league racing organisers just gave up and decided to skip the game entirely. I think I can say for myself, ISR planned to host multiple Sunday leagues, like 3 or 4 seasons, and because of how long it took them to get the private lobbies in the game and how bad they were when they finally got in the game, we decided we'll do 1 season and then we're done. You know, half the league race, half the grid uninstalled the game after the final race. It felt like a shift at work rather than a league race, and it felt pretty disappointing for many different reasons. At the end of the day, it came down to if the physics could win you over so much that you'd ignore the many problems at the root of the game. I know guys that I've literally had a conversation with a guy tonight that says he thinks Assetto Corsa has the best physics he's ever played, and he's been racing for a long time. But for me, the physics just added to the problem. Now, before you call me an Assetto Corsa hated, like I said, I own the game on PC and I love it. It's absolutely amazing. There's so many mods. The community is top notch, and there's just endless amounts of fun. The other day I was driving a Lamborghini Countach around Vice City from Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It's just endless amounts of fun. But I just find it funny and sad at the same time that the console counterpart was a complete polar opposite. So why did Assetto Corsa on console fall flat? It's simple. They were unable to bring their strongest asset from PC to console due to licensing restrictions. Unfortunately, they were fighting an uphill battle without a hill climb car. That is my opinions on Assetto Corsa console. Why I think it was such a missed opportunity, and I don't think it was necessarily the developer's fault. I think it was just a game that was always going to be fighting an uphill battle, and unfortunately it was a losing battle from the word go. And many lessons to learn for Assetto Corsa, if there is to be an Assetto Corsa 2. There's a lot of lessons to learn for these guys, and hopefully next time they can really challenge other games on the console. Thank you so much for watching my opinions on this, guys. I really hope you agree. Please do let me know your opinions in the comments and we can have a discussion down below. But that's my opinions. I think it was good to get it off my chest, and I hope the guys at Kunos can have better fortunes in the future. Like I say, the PC game is absolutely phenomenal. If you don't have it on PC, do it. The mods you can get alone just make the game just so much fun. It's endless hours if your PC is strong enough to run it. If you're planning on getting it on the console, done. Project Cars 2 comes out in 5 days. Go for that instead. Thank you ever so much for watching, and until the next video, goodbye. From left or from right lock it. It is quite tricky, because I usually race with ABS is the only thing I tend to race with. All the other racing. Look at this weaving. This is, you know, weaving is banned in motorsport if you all already didn't know. So, look, we've got a yellow flag for this turn 1, so now it's, oh my goodness. The lag is absolutely incredible, and we just missed the blue car. Oh my goodness. And now he's flashing me. I don't know why he's flashing me.